Welcome in, everybody, to Sosa's Steam Room. On the show today, we're talking the Bulls fighting for the 8th seed, the Blackhawks struggles, Bears offseason pickups, and the Cubs in the Cactus League. Hit it. All right, my name is Drew, and the other co-host of this podcast is the man, the myth, the legend, Blake Van Pocky. Hello. That was Blake whispering hello. Anything else?
It's been a while.
It's been a while. We were on spring break.
Spring Blake
in Florida. It was a great time with a bunch of our friends in this giant house.
I had some fun.
Blake had too much fun. A lot of fun. And, we're back. Sorry for those of you who missed us last week. It's really hard recording in a house with like 25 people who may not be in the right state of mind, if you catch my drift, majority of the time. So we appreciate your patience. Sorry again, but we're back, people. We're back. Something you guys should know, we love emails, so send us emails at sosassteamroom@gmail.com. We have a Twitter and Facebook account. Just search Sosa Steam Room. We also have some personal Twitter accounts. Myself, at DN Edstrom. And Blake, your Twitter handle?
At Soldier Field, BLG.
And last episode we talked about launching of a website. It is live, people. We've had some good responses so far. It's sosassteamroom.com.
Yes.
Blake loves the website.
I love it.
It has a ton of information about us. How we got started.
Yeah.
A little bit about me. A little bit about you.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit about us.
A little bit about everything.
Everything in the world is on the
everything
website.
You can think of.
All right, Blake, let's quit dancing around and get into this, shall we?
Yes.
The Chicago Bulls. Your 8th place Chicago Bulls.
Playoff team.
You
don't need to specify the seed.
8th place. Currently on a 3-game win streak, and Blake and I went to the game last night. For those of you who follow us on Twitter, you probably saw that. And Blake, what was your thoughts
overall about the game?
On Blake's first Bulls game ever.
The whole experience?
Yeah, I want to hear about the experience first.
Well, I had a lot of fun. I saw some really funny things happen. And the game was fun. It was fun watching a little bit of Doug McDermott run up and down the floor, and I had a good time, believe it or not.
Yeah,
even with Drew, I had a good time. So
even
that
with
tells
me,
you a lot.
We have zero fun together, as you could probably tell. I was excited to take Blake to his first game. There was this weird drunk guy in front of us yelling at everyone who shot a free throw. There was a fight between the mascot and some other guy. Some jerk college student cheated in musical chairs, and Benny the Bull went after him.
Threw a ball at him.
And we got Big Macs, which I ate today. It was delicious. Oh, that was my dinner. You forgot to eat your Big Mac.
I forgot to get my Big Mac.
And we got Wingstop.
Do I still have time?
I think it's 48 hours for the Big Mac.
Okay, hell yeah.
So anyway, let's break down this win streak here. So last Thursday, while we were in Florida, the Bulls faced off against the Nets in their St. Patty's Day uniforms.
Which are green.
They don't like those.
Do you like those? Like them either.
Yeah, they're not very handsome or beautiful.
I don't know. We're not the
weird.
Celtics. We're not the Celtics.
Feels very forced. I don't like that. But the man you mentioned earlier, Doug McDermott, had 25 points and is really starting to play with some confidence.
Yes, he is.
You can tell as soon as Doug gets the ball, he's trying to score. And he's starting to create his own shot a little bit. He's starting to drive into those runners. He's looking for trailing passes in transition. He's looking for the line. He's running to it, and he's shooting.
He's not afraid to shoot right now.
Yeah, way more confidence than before.
Yeah, I could tell that just from last night. He didn't hit all of his shots, but he was finding good spots to, sit and wait for balls. And just shooting in rhythm most of the time, too.
Mm-hmm. Just no hesitation on his shot either. And I think for this Bulls team, if you can add that consistent perimeter score, I think that could be huge for this team. Because you have Derek and Jimmy who, they're going to kind of take turns running some ISO ball, which I hate. But,
they run a lot of ISO.
Yeah, they do. And you have Pau Gasol who demands the ball most of the time. But Doug, if you had a consistent scorer with Doug, that could be so big. Because he's much better than Tony Snell.
Yeah.
And Justin Holiday's a nice piece, but he's not going to be that guy. And him with confidence is going to be amazing to watch down the stretch here.
Yeah. He has a lot of confidence right now, too.
Yeah, even last night when we saw him running down the court, I would just kind of tap Blake, be like, look for Doug, look for Doug. Find him. They're starting to look for him, too, which is amazing.
Well, from what I saw, he was just finding good spots and, really moving well off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And even when he did get the ball, he would make the right decision to shoot or to pump fake or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He would always get the better shot.
Yeah, that's what this team needs. They need a lot of movement without the ball because that's when the offense operates at its best. When the ball's moving around the perimeter, when people are making cuts, setting screens for one another. And you see glimpses of it throughout the year. We still haven't seen a full game yet from this team, and we can talk about the inconsistencies later.
Yeah.
But Doug McDermott's going to be huge going down the stretch. Jimmy Butler, he was out for a little bit, but he's back. And he started off a little bit slow on his return from injury. He looks a little bit hesitant. I noted to Blake last night that he only took a small number of shots.
Yeah.
For an all-star player, you're not expecting your superstar player to have only 6 shots in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You need a little bit more.
I think last night was just an off night.
Yeah.
He was, I think, focusing a lot on the defensive end, too.
Yeah, I mean, you have Rudy Gay to guard,
Yeah.
which is his game. It speaks for itself. He's
It was
Olympian,
just one of those nights. Yeah.
smooth guy.
I don't like Rudy Gay for that.
But I still think he's not 100% yet.
Yeah.
I don't think his conditioning's there. I don't know how that knee's feeling, but Derrick Rose has filled in really nicely and stepped up. He scored 22 points in the Utah game last week.
Yeah.
And they got that win too, that second win of the now 3-game win streak.
And I was really impressed with Derrick last night.
Yeah, last night.
Especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, let's just break it down.
Yeah.
Last night. The Bulls won last night against the Kangs. 109-102, and we got to see Boogie Cousins, who personally, you saw his numbers and you're like, wow, he almost has a 20-20. It's insane.
Yeah.
But you didn't see the results of it on the floor. He did it quietly. It wasn't Boogie Cousins, I don't think, is the type of player that can win you games down the stretch long term. He might steal one here or there, but he's the type of player that I didn't even notice he had almost had a 20-20 game.
I told you about the stat.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact numbers. I hope someone who's listening could find it for me. But he has, I think, the NBA record for, 30 and 20, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe less than that in terms of points in losses. He has 13 or 14 losses in those games. So that kind of speaks to what you're talking about.
I mean,
too.
dude's a freak.
Yeah.
He definitely has all the talent in the world, the athleticism, but I think for him it's a lot mental. We've seen him freak out throughout certain games.
He's very up and down.
Yeah.
I saw last night, just him.
Body language stuff.
Body language, on different points of the game, he just, had somewhat of a different attitude and was joking around at some points, and at other times was really into it. So
yeah, and I thought Taj played really good defense on Boogie too for the most part.
I thought Powell played good defense.
Yeah, I mean they both kind of teamed up to play really good on the ball defense, and I think Taj Gibson's play recently has been great and huge for this team. I think he's been taking over kind of the defensive authoritative role, kind of deal the Joakim Noah kind of role, kind of holding guys accountable, yelling at them, letting them know what they're supposed to be doing. And Taj always plays with intensity. He's always been a guy who's sort of been overlooked on this team, always been talked about in trade talks, all this stuff, but he's been performing awesome.
Yeah, I thought he was great last night too.
Yeah, him and Derek both added 18 last night, so very nice. And Pau Gasol, as you mentioned earlier, returned from injury. His knee had been kind of acting up a little bit, but he returned last night on some limited minutes.
Started slow. Picked it up.
He's an old man. He's an older guy.
Yeah.
And
he's coming off an injury.
The thing about Powell that's so big, I think, for the spacing as well of this team, he's going to be waiting there at the elbow for the pass back.
Yeah.
Offensively, he's always going to be in the right spot. Defensively, he's slowing rotations, not really in the right spot a lot of the times. But, you know what you're going to get with Powell. So he's great offensively all the time, double machine without really noticing. And yeah, it was good to have him back. Interesting stat I came across today, courtesy of Casey Johnson. The Bulls are the only team that are top 9 in the East with a negative point differential. They score 101.8, give up 102.9.
Yeah.
I think that's ridiculous.
It makes sense.
I mean, the inconsistency, up and down play, the injuries.
The defense
it adds to
not
it.
Being what are...
They're very fortunate that they're in this position right now, considering how
they're living off their really nice talent at some points.
Yeah.
Just to be in this position at all with negative point differential and how the season has gone, they've had to live off those nights of Jimmy going off.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, having those off nights where he has a really good game.
Well, that fight for the 8th seed is heating up. Detroit, Indiana, now Washington's making a slight push. They're only a couple games behind, too, so it's going to be really fun down the stretch. And 6 through 8 is really tight. Charlotte, Indiana, and the Bulls, Detroit, Washington. All those teams are going to be in it. The Bulls play a back-to-back with the Knicks Wednesday, Thursday, so hopefully that should be 2 wins.
Should be.
There. All right, Blake, you want to talk about the Blackhawks?
Honestly, right now, maybe not, with how it's been going. But yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about the Blackhawks anyway.
What a week. What a terrible... Last 2 weeks, I guess, have just been awful. Topped off by tonight.
I think the Blackhawks are taking a page out of the Bulls' book here.
They might be.
So now they've dropped 5 of their last 6.
Yeah.
3-2 to St. Louis in a shootout. 5-2 to Dallas.
Could have won the St. Louis
5-0 to the Kings, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
3-2 to Philly. 4-0 over Winnipeg, so there's the
That's
win.
a 1 win, yeah.
3-2 Minnesota in a shootout. You do get a point, and then tonight's loss to the Stars 6-2.
Yeah. So 4 points in 12 or in out of 12, I think.
That's not
down the stretch.
That's no bueno.
Yeah.
No bueno for the Hawks.
And we always talk about, this happens. It does.
In March, historically, the Blackhawks have not been good in March.
Yeah, they absolutely
over their title run seasons.
I mean, March is just kind of setting themselves up for that run. I don't think they're too worried about results. But when you come across a stretch like the last week, and thankfully we were in Florida where I didn't have access to a television.
Yeah, the guys came over all the time and were like, let's watch the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
We did not have the channel. And even for March Madness, we had CBS. We didn't have True TV, TNT, TBS,
6
none of that.
Giant TVs.
No channels.
No channels. And then we had a little place with one little TV, every channel you could think of.
Yeah.
So.
And then our house, the Wi-Fi was so slow and ridiculous. So Blake and I couldn't do anything. We couldn't write. We couldn't tweet. I was going a little crazy in that house. But anyway, back to the Blackhawks. Yeah.
Back to the Hawks.
Power play. Big problem over the last stretch of games. They've dropped from 1st to 4th, 0 of their last 17.
I don't know
tonight if they score.
I don't think they had a power play tonight.
So over the last 17.
And that's been a big issue.
Yeah. And there was talks earlier about how the PK is the weakness, not the power play. The power play never really came into question. It was all about the PK. Whether or not they could stop other teams from scoring.
Yeah.
Now, what's going on?
I don't know. I think it's just a bad stretch because, I don't know, the whole team's just kind of struggling offensively, defensively, goaltending. It's just not clicking right now.
Well, with goaltending, Corey's been out.
Yeah.
With that injury.
And
He's
Scott
still
has
day-to-day.
been not
Poor.
great. Not great.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a really tough stretch. I mean, those teams we named, a lot of those teams are
formidable
serious
teams, really
title
good
contenders.
teams. Yeah,
I mean most
St. Louis, Dallas, the Kings.
Yeah, and the Kings are a whole nother story.
Yeah,
they're looking scary right now.
Yeah, they are.
But yeah, they've just hadn't gotten any production from anywhere on the ice. I mean, they're really struggling with their defensemen right now.
Really strange.
They